joining us tonight. Before we begin our school board meeting, if you don't mind, you could participate in our prayer.
Everybody bow your heads, please. Lord, as we go through these winter months, we just thank you for our bus drivers, grounds, and maintenance crew that keep us safe and make sure our students get to and from school safely. We also ask that you watch over this board as we make decisions that affect our students, teachers, and community. In Jesus' name, amen.
I'll call this meeting to order. My name is Brian Wirtz. Thank you all for coming here to our February board meeting. And we will start with student recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Wirtz. We have a standing room only of recognition. This is the best part of all of our meetings. So we're going to honor a lot of people tonight. And just a reminder, when we do call your name to come up, please come up. If it's a big crowd, we'll go over that way, shut the projector off and take a picture over there. If not, we'll stand up here. Student, athletes, honorees, when you come up, make sure you tell us who you are, what grade you are in school, and also anyone that's in attendance with you tonight. You have to introduce them. Please don't say, that's my mom, that's my dad. They all have names. So we appreciate you doing that. And we do thank everyone for coming out tonight.
Okay, we're going to start with high school track and field state qualifiers. So this would have been fall cross country, I believe. We had Cami Kelsey, Andrew Bixler, Rachel Simmons, and Matthew Frazier.
Thank you.
Now, that is from last spring, isn't it? That's from track last spring.
Yep. Congratulations. Tell us who you are and where you're going to school next year, and then who's with you.
All right, I'm Andrew Bixler. Next year, I'm going to go run up at UND, and my mom, Cheryl Bixler, came, and then Kirk Bixler came.
I'm Cami Kelsey. Next year, I'm going to be here, junior, and then I have my mom with me, Julie Kelsey.
All right. We're going to take a picture. So moms and dads, this is a good time to be paparazzi. If you want to come to the middle, you're more than welcome. And Mr. Wirtz will join us. He's the school board president. Yeah. Congratulations, everyone. Well done.
Now from the fall season, we're going to recognize the state cross-country qualifiers. Andrew Bixler, come back up. Ethan Pfeiffer, Drew Hargis, Wyatt McCullough, Isaiah Lindsay, Will Tucker, and Anthony McDonald.
Let me see your name. Pull it out. Wyatt. Isaiah. Will Tucker. Oh, good catch. Sorry, I thought you. Which one? Anthony. There you go. All right. I think yours was on yours both combined. All right. All right. So scoot down this way. Andrew's already talked to us, so we'll get him at the very end. So please introduce anyone that's with you tonight, what grade you are in school, and talk about what you were in a cross country team and what you guys did at the state. I'll let you start, Mr. McCullough.
I'm Wyatt McCullough. I'm with my mom and dad, Emily McCullough and Chad McCullough. I'm a junior, and our team got 11th place this year at the state meet.
All right, so I'm Isaiah Lindsay. I came here alone. We did get 11th in the state meet, and it was probably the best moment of my life. So.
I'm Will Tucker. I came by myself tonight.
I'm Anthony McDonald. I came with my mom, Amy McDonald, and my dad, Mike McDonald. I'm a sophomore, and it is a pleasure running in state with these guys.
Well, same thing as I said earlier. And I know they didn't do it, but if you want to say place, all our guys placed really well in the state meet. I got 38th, and Wyatt, I know, got 43rd, and yeah.
And the coach is also here. You want to, Coach, come on up here with the picture, please. Coach Swartz was the guys' coach this year, so congratulations. You go scoot in this way, guys. We're going to get a picture. We may have to do 2 rows. Squeeze in. Can we turn sideways and get everybody or no? Yes? You turn sideways, like turn your right shoulder out. Mr. Tucker, you say, there you go, and you turn your left in. There you go. All right. Well done. Congratulations. And
Next, we'd like to recognize our senior athletes who have signed letters of intent to continue their athletic careers in college. So when you guys come up, be ready to tell us where you're going to go to school and what sport you're going to participate. Brooke Phillips, Clayton Cole, Allie Terrell, Jacob DeStramp, Luke Miles, Olivia Brown, Owen Atkinson, Jesse Fraley, Scarlett Friend, Garrett Snyder, Caitlin Hukin, Emily Hill, Carla Gildersleeve, Shane O'Sullivan, and Corey Richards.
Ryder, congratulations. Kate, Emily, Carla, and Corey. You know what? Yours is over here. So go ahead and stand by Emily because Corey got different, didn't he? Yeah, he's an extra. Okay, Kate, you get to tell us your sport, where you're headed, and who brought you.
I'm playing tennis at IU Southeast, and I brought my dad, Dave Hukin, my mom, Angie Hukin, and my sister, Kara Hukin.
My name is Allie Terrell, and I'm here with my mom, Brandy Terrell, and I swim, and I'm going to Purdue University.
My name's Luke Miles. I'm going to Purdue Fort Wayne to play baseball, and with me are my dad, Travis Miles, and my mom, Carrie Miles.
I'm Livy Brown. I came with my dad, Steve, and I play volleyball. I'm going to play at Franklin College next year.
I'm Jessie Fraley, and I came with my mom and dad, Ken and Kenja Fraley, and I'm swimming at Ball State next year.
I'm Scarlett Friend. I came with my parents, Brent Friend and Elizabeth Friend, and I'll be swimming at the Air Force Academy.
I'm Carla Gildersleeve. I came here with Brett and Jill Gildersleeve, my parents, and I will be swimming at Indiana University.
I'm Garrett Snyder. I came here with my mom, dad, and stepdad, Brian, Jim, and Dave. Somehow I got into Franklin, and that's where I'll be playing soccer.
I'm Emily Hill. I came here with my mom, Angie Hill, and I'm playing soccer at the University of Evansville.
I'm Corey Richards. I came here with my mom, Heather Richards, and my dad, Dan Richards, and I'll be playing football at Ball State University.
And if the members of the girls swim team can take one step forward. This weekend was an exciting weekend. For the first time ever, we placed for girls second in the state. And actually, second is the new number one, if you really want to know in the world. So congratulations to the ladies on the swim team. It was quite the exciting event to watch them all swim, and they represented Franklin Community High School quite well, and we're very proud of all of you. So well done. So now we'll step back. We'll get a big picture. Mr. Wirtz will come up. No. Let's look for Corey. Just his hammer. All right. Did we get everybody? Hey, we tried to get them to come back.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I think so. They said they couldn't come back. Whatever. His mom and dad were going to come.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you're gonna see him again, so you can do it because you're gonna see him soon. Okay, wait up here. There you go. Thanks for taking that. All right. All right. Bring this up next time too, all right? All right.
This next group is our biggest group tonight, and it's so exciting because they are our academic all-state athletes. Josiah Rocky, Paco Francisco, Colin Croson, Drew Beasley, Sam Perk, Isabel Mahan, Tate Clendenning, Clayton Cole, Maddie Arcan, Owen Atkinson, Owen Mahan, Justin Smith, Dylan Clark, George Admire, Megan Tennell, Yobani Lopez Perez, Corey Richards,
Congratulations.
Emily Hill, Jake Brown, Garrett Snyder, Abby Burton, Logan Lancer, Tice Miller, Clay Black, Austin Sewell, and Brooke Phillips. Congratulations.
Abby Burton right there. Logan, where are you? There you are. Tice.
I'm Josiah. I came with my dad, Kevin Rocky, and my mom, Pam Rocky. And I play tennis.
And if you're a senior, where are you headed next year, if you know?
And I'm going to Purdue University.
Hi, I'm Sam Perk. I came with my mom and my dad, Monica and Dave, over there. I played soccer, and I'm going to Purdue.
My name is George Admire. I'm a senior. I play football, going to IU next fall, and my parents said they were busy tonight. So.
I'm Dylan Clark. I play soccer, and I came with my mom, Jennifer Clark.
I'm Megan Tennell. I'm a junior. I run cross country, and I came with my mom, Julie Tennell.
I'm still Corey.
What he said.
My name's Clay Black. I'm a senior. Plan A right now is to go to the United States Naval Academy. In attendance is my mother, Molly, and my sister, Morgan.
I'm Austin Sewell. I'm here with my parents, Jeff and Julie Sewell, and I play soccer and volleyball. I'm not decided on where I want to go to college.
I'm Logan Lancer. I'm here with my dad, Terry Lancer, and my mom, Jennifer Lancer. I played soccer, and I'm attending Purdue University.
I'm Tice Miller. I came here with my mom, Candy Miller, and my dad, Terry Miller. I play football, and I'm a senior, and I'm undecided where I go to college.
All right. Well, congratulations to all of you. Coaches, athletes, if you're in attendance, come on up. I know Coach Harris is here. Coach Lane is here. We will squeeze everybody and maybe let's try to do 2 rows and kind of huddle up again. We can. Is that the last one? Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, did I? You know, yours was on here. It's on. We gave one with both of them on there. This one? I can go. There you go. Trying to help you out there. All right. Squeeze in. Squeeze in. There you go. All right. Yeah. All right, is that everyone? Congratulations, everybody. Well done.
We also had 3 athletes who made the all-state team for their respective sports. None of them are here tonight. I'm sure they're all at a practice somewhere. But Brooke Phillips in volleyball, Clayton Cole in football, and Owen Atkinson in soccer. Would recognize them as well. Next, we will recognize the Central 9 Student of the Month. We'd like to congratulate Savannah Steenberger for being selected as the C9 Student of the Month for February. Savannah is in the Dental Careers Program.
Congratulations, that's great. And same thing, I do with you and plan.
I'm here with my dad, Jason Steenberger, my stepmom, Julie Wilson, and my nephew, Colton Wilson. I haven't decided on where I'm going to college yet.
All right, well, congratulations. And here, we'll get a picture. All right, well done, thank you.
And lastly, tonight we have 2 teachers we'd like to recognize who both received the Lilly Endowment Teacher Creativity Fellowship and were awarded a $12,000 project each. Way to go, girls. Nice.
Congrats.
Sarah is a teacher at Creekside Elementary, and Kat Sarles teaches world history at the high school. They submitted their project proposal, A Digital Safari, Wonders Down Under, this past September, and found out in December that they each had received the award. This fellowship allows them to spend 6 weeks traveling to New Zealand, Australia, and Fiji. This project will complete their decade-long travel together, right, to digitally record all 7 continents. That's pretty cool.
Congratulations. You guys want to talk about the trip a little bit, or if anybody's here with you, you're more than welcome to introduce them.
Yeah, I drove myself. We had really fun stories planned up. I was going to be a 6th grader who wanted to become an astronaut when I grow up.
The Lilly Endowment is a teacher creativity grant that they award to up to 100 applicants. And this year they had a little over 500 apply. And Sarah and I were very fortunate to be selected amongst them. And super excited to spend nearly the whole summer. We leave a week after school gets out and we get back a week before school starts. So, so much for fall planning. But we get to spend the whole summer in the South Pacific and be able to complete what has been a decade-long goal between the 2 of us.
That's awesome. Congratulations. We're going to get a picture here. Thank you. Mr. Wirtz, that will conclude all recognition for tonight.
Now's a good time to exit if you wish. You're welcome to stay, but
That was fun.
Thank you for coming. Bye. Thanks. The other one, did it get added on here? Yeah.
Oh, they're all on there. Okay.
Yeah. So, yep. Thanks a lot. See you.
let me know if you need help getting down.
Bye.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Mr. Wirtz.
You're welcome. All right. Next up on the agenda is public and board comments. At this time, I would ask anybody from the public if they have any comments on the agenda to please step forward and limit your comments to 2 minutes. Thank you. Seeing none, we will move on. Board comments, Music Council.
We met this evening. Just a couple things we talked about. The code of conduct for co-curricular activities and maybe how that might need to be adjusted in the future. Showfest was last weekend before. Anyway, it all went well. There was a great number of band or choirs that came, and I think that maybe there were a few issues just because of the numbers of people, but all in all, I think it was a successful weekend for the choir. So.
Very good. Thank you. Athletic Council.
Yeah, we met tonight. Status right now of our mid-state standings from the boys. We're in second place. We're back 18 points, so we've got a bit of a road for the summer sports. Our girls, though, are leading mid-state by 12, so really nice standings there. Overall, we're only back by 6 points, so we've got a good chance on the combined standings to make grounds there. Positive note, the middle school has finished the modifications to the weight room. So congratulations to those folks that have finished that. We've got 6 stations there. So much like the weight room here at the high school, really focused on fundamentals, teaching the kids the right and the wrong way of doing things when they get in. So when they come over to the high school, they're not intimidated by that facility. They're ready to go. And the benefits, just getting them ready for the individual sport that they're going to be in. As Dr. Clendenning said, our girls were second at the swim state, so the new number one. And it was, Carmel was by, was it 300 and some points. So it was pretty impressive, but the girls did an outstanding job there. The boys start their journey this Thursday. So sectionals Thursday night and then finals on Saturday. So if you have time, come out and join that activity.
All right, thank you. Legislative Council.
No updates.
Thank you. Superintendent Strategic Task Force Council.
Yes, we will meet next Tuesday night, February the 19th, here in the LGI room, starting at 6:30, and will last 1 hour.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent Strategic Plan Project update.
Employer of choice. All updates were provided to me in the last week to 10 days. I then provided on the school board and Friday notes. They're moving right along. We do anticipate being back in front of you in May with final recommendation.
Very good, thank you. Communication Committee.
We did meet. We discussed the development of a communication plan for the new Stop It app that we talked about last month. Mrs. Betts and Mr. Sewell will be working on that. The district receives some free hours annually to use at CIESC, and the committee discussed using them to put together a promotional video on the employer of choice. We also received the benchmark from the National School Public Relations Association regarding internal communications, and we're going to review that this month and score, and we'll discuss ideas for improvement next month.
All right, thank you. Collective bargaining, we have not met, but we are going to meet. Is that correct?
I think we're working on a
Yeah,
date.
I think I probably owe you. Probably up to me. All right, so I'm the bottleneck. So we'll get on that. So thank you. Central 9.
We'll meet on Thursday.
Okay, thank you. RDC.
We've met and really nothing that pertains to schools.
All right, thank you. That concludes board comments. Consent agenda.
Move for approval.
There's a motion moved for approval. Are there any comments or questions?
One comment, just highlight that Coach Mike McClure, Assistant Athletic Director, is going to retire at the end of this school year. We want to thank Mike for his many years of service, both as a teacher, head football coach, assistant coach, and assistant athletic director. He's done a great job, and I think he's coming back out of retirement right away. He's going to be on the football staff for at least one more year after this, so we say thank you to him.
Very good. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks. Superintendent reports. Dr. Clendenning, 10X presentations.
Yes, we have 2 10X presentations tonight. First, we're going to have Mrs. Park, Kelly Park, is going to come up and share 84 to go.
Well, first you may wonder about the title, and I called it 84 to go because we had already been to 8 courthouses, and then we spent 13 days, so 7 courthouses a day. And my husband, if you know my husband, Bob, he is really a planner. And so we had the days color coded and planned for where we were going to go, what days. And so we stayed away some nights, and sometimes they were day trips, but we did 7 a day and ate in diners, talked to people along the way. So I had a real Hoosier experience. I did bring postcards. So if anybody would like to have one, the reason that I brought them is because there's a little QR code on them if you want to see photographs of all 92. I did not paint and draw all 92. Didn't have time to do that, but it was such a fun experience, and I'm really grateful that I got to have it. It was a lot of work, and so I'm not sure I'll do anything quite that ambitious this next year, but I thought I would show you some of the artwork that I did, and I'll leave these here, and I'll just come by and get the extras tomorrow when I'm here at school. So if people want them, fine, and if not, that's fine too. Do I get to forward this? Okay. All right. Well, let me show you this first. This is a one of the labels that I had at the show, and that way you can see where the county is, what the whole courthouse, or at least a lot of the courthouse, look like. So you can see the architecture. It tells you that it's colored pencil and 16 by 9, and then I have a quote just by somebody I met along the way. So that tells you kind of what you're interested in. You can look at on the label, and there's always a label before the piece. So the colored pencil piece is the next one. So this one is of just a detail of the Union County Courthouse, and they're all details. So you know that you're not going to see the whole courthouse at any point. So the next one, you can see this is Boone County, and it's a print. So you can see the next one, and then you can see the print. That's what the print looks like. By the way, just so you all know how when this is going to end, there are 15 of them. So we've seen. All right. So the next one is Fulton County, and this is a pastel drawing. And then the next one is Rush County, which, by the way, has an absolutely beautiful courthouse inside and out. So hard to pick what to draw, but this is a charcoal drawing.
That's good.
Okay, and then I think you probably recognize this courthouse. And so this is an acrylic painting. I did sell this one, so I don't have it anymore. And then the next one is Wells County. This was the last one I did because I thought I teach a lot of pencil drawing and I didn't have any pencil drawings. So I had to do a pencil drawing. And this is one of the sea serpents that's at the front entrance. They have this amazing stone carving. One of them spins one way and the other one the other way, and they're on the different sides as you come into the building. I sold this one too, so I don't have it either. Okay, this is Whitley County, a pen and ink drawing. Again, I tried to fit lots of things in that I teach, and so they're not all the same media. But this is Whitley County, and this one is DeKalb County. And this is an acrylic painting. Kosciuszko County. I think did we miss Kosciuszko County? Yeah, that's all right. This is Kosciuszko County. And then this is pen and ink and watercolor combined. And I did try to get some plant life in some of them. So there were a couple of them that way. LaPorte County, I did bring that one with me. I thought you might like to see one for real. So you can go ahead and scroll, but this is the real thing. So it's an acrylic painting.
Oh my goodness.
It's impressive.
You're good, Miss Park. Keep it up.
Okay, and then Jasper County, another one with some plant life, and this is a watercolor. And then Tippecanoe County, I did 3 little drawings because they had just renovated and they were very excited to show me. This deputy showed me all around, all these little details inside. And so you'll see that there are 3 little drawings, and the one in the middle is actually of a door hinge that they had restored. And so lots of beautiful restoration inside. So I thought, we need some interiors. Some of the counties would not let me inside even if I begged. But most of them did. Most of them would let me photograph as long as I wasn't photographing people, but just photographing architecture. Hancock County, another one that's absolutely beautiful. Not that Johnson County's not, but it really is a beautiful courthouse. And this is another print. And then Lawrence County, I just really got interested in one of the light posts. So you'll see in this one, it's a light post, at the bottom of a light post. Blackford County, that's the one that's on the postcard. And I teach my students a lot about complementary colors, blue and orange, red and green, and yellow and violet. So I thought, well, I'll just have an example. So this is another acrylic painting. Okay. Is that it? Yep. Okay. Well, then it was wonderful fun. Thank you for anybody who decided that I should get to do it because it was wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Susan and Kim. Oh, the places you'll go.
Yep, that's us. Can this come off?
Yes, you can just
Okay.
pull it right off if you like.
Okay. All right.
Well, we had the opportunity to go along Route 66, and Route 66 crosses 8 states and 3 time zones. And so we had the opportunity to travel through 7 states of Route 66. Route 66 is 2,448 miles. It's existed between November 26, 1926 and June 26 of 1985, when it actually was decertified and bypassed by Interstate 40. But we traveled as much as we could, paved roads, dirt roads, dead ends. So we wanted to include our students as much as possible for some of our students that may not have the opportunity to see some of the landmarks. So we took pictures and took them on a virtual road trip with us, and as much as possible, when we took photographs, we included them in all of our photographs to include them. So they got a big kick when showing pictures, seeing themselves at some of the attractions that we were able to visit. So I'm going to turn it over to Kim, and she's going to share with you some of the places we visited.
All right, we started our trip in Illinois. We actually started at the Route 66 Museum in Pontiac. In fact, nope, didn't use that picture, sorry. So that's where we started. We both have been to Chicago. Technically, Route 66 starts in Chicago, but we didn't want to waste some of our valuable time going to Chicago, which is a place we both have been plenty of times. So we started in Pontiac, which is just south of Chicago. We went to Arcadia, which is a like an arcade museum. So we thought our kids would really enjoy that. It was one of my favorite spots. I thought it was so cool, the old arcade games and stuff. But it went to the Paul Bunyan statue, the world's largest covered wagon. You can see the picture. Went to Lincoln's gravesite and the Cozy Dog Drive-In. And the Cozy Dog Drive-In is where they invented the corn dog. So that was quite fun. We continued on to Missouri. We stopped at the Gateway Arch and the City Museum. The City Museum is like a giant playground for everybody. And so that was quite interesting. The Merrimack Caverns. And in fact, if you look in that picture, you can see where we took one of the pictures. They're so small compared to some of our pictures. You can't tell that they're our students, but there they are with us. We went to the Vacuum Cleaner Museum. I know what you're thinking. That's not a real thing, but it is. Let me tell you, it was actually, I really enjoyed it. Actually, the guy was very excited about his vacuum cleaners. We went to Devil's Elbow Bridge, which it's the place around Route 66 where it has a very sharp curve. And back in the heyday of Route 66, there were lots of accidents around there. And actually, that tree carving is from that area. And we saw the Hubble telescope replica in Marshfield. And then we went on to Kansas. There's only 13 miles of Route 66 in Kansas, but we covered all 13. We saw Cars life-size models. We have a couple of students who really enjoy cars, and so they were excited to see those. That is Rainbow Bridge. That's one of the original structures along the road. And Monarch Soda Fountain
where we both had a lovely soda beverage. And we went to Oklahoma. The Catoosa Blue Whale is there in the middle. That was actually an anniversary present from a husband to his wife. I don't know about you. I don't want that as an anniversary present. But it was an anniversary present. The center of the universe is in Tulsa. It is where if you stand in the middle of the circle, you can hear you'll say something and it sounds normal to you. But the person on the outside can hear, or no, I got this backwards. You can hear an echo when you say something to the person. The person who is only like 2 or 3 feet away does not hear the echo. It's the strangest thing, but it was neat. We went to Pop's soda shop. That's the giant soda bottle there. We went to the Oklahoma Route 66 Museum and the National Route 66 Museum and the Sand Hills Curiosity Shop, which is the picture of us together there. Let's just say the guy who runs it is quite the character. He told us, he even sang his little ditty, said it was for our students, not school appropriate. So they're not hearing that little ditty. But it was amusing. All right, we went on to Texas. It goes through just the little bit at the top of Texas, but it was still a lot of fun there. We went to the U Drop-In Cafe, which is not a cafe anymore, but the guy at the Curiosity Shop said that he really enjoyed the Teresa who worked at the cafe. Not good. We went to the Devil's Rope Museum, which is barbed wire. Yes, that exists as well as the vacuum cleaner museum. The Leaning Water Tower in Groom. Apparently in Amarillo, they really like putting machinery halfway into the ground and letting you spray paint it. There was the Volkswagen Slugbug Ranch. There was the Combine City, which is a bunch of combines half in the ground. Couldn't spray paint those. You could do the slug bugs and Cadillac Range, which is the famous one. So there is Susan with a spray can defacing a slug bug. Actually, no, she is at Cadillac Range in that one. But we do have a picture of the slug bugs there. We spray painted both. And midpoint on Route 66, we stopped at that lovely cafe. That is the halfway mark on Route 66. On to New Mexico. Went to a car museum and the Blue Swallow Motel, which is a famous motel along the road. The Mesa Lands Dinosaur Museum. The Blue Hole in Santa Rosa, very cold water. I believe the temperature is somewhere around 62 degrees. Very cold. Crystal blue water, though. Beautiful. It's spring fed. And we did go swimming in it. We went to the oldest house in the U.S. and the oldest church in the U.S. That's in Santa Fe. The Museum of Indian Arts and Culture. The Rattlesnake Museum in Albuquerque. We stayed in the trailer in the picture. That is in the Enchanted Trails RV park. Her name was Della. They named him. The Albuquerque Zoo. The Native American Tribal Dance Celebration. We went to one in Gallup. And they actually put on a bunch of dances for us. It was something we happened into. Didn't know it wasn't on our list, but it was very interesting. We actually did that in Gallup, and then we did another one in Holbrook in Arizona. So we found a couple of those. So on to Arizona, the Petrified Forest and Painted Desert. There's another picture of us with our students at the Petrified Forest. That's one thing that we have worked with our students on, and they really enjoyed it, which we have more on that coming up. The Wigwam Motel, which is quite famous. If you watch the Cars movies, they kind of make fun of it, and stuff with the safety cones. Jackrabbit Trading Post, standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. I'm not going to break into a ditty. Meteor Crater, natural landmark. So it's just a big hole in the ground, but I find it very interesting being of a geology background. Sunset Crater Volcano, and I really do not know how to say it, but I'm going to go with Wupaki National Park. They're kind of connected and very cool to see. We went to the Grand Canyon, was on my bucket list. Bearizona, which is a drive-through zoological park. And we saw the Oatman Burrows. I love Oatman. I won't be back. I do not like heights, and the road there, I believe, the lady I talked to in town said there were 84 curves to get there, and their idea of a barricade from going off the cliff was a string between some poles. It was not a good trip it was a great trip. going to Oatman was very scary for me. I had white knuckles by the time I got there. All right, we finished up in Nevada. It is not part of Route 66, but that is where we flew out of. So we did some things while we were there. Went to the Hoover Dam and the Bellagio Botanical Gardens. So those are a couple of the things we did there. They were both very interesting. All right, and here we are back home again. Susan?
So some of the skills from our trip that we shared with the experiences that we had is just working on map skills, IDing landmarks that we've just shared with you with the attractions with the state that they were found in, working on math skills, problem-solving skills to explore and compute mileage that we traveled each day and mileage from state to state. And then calculation of expenses for each state visited on Route 66, what would it cost for gasoline and lodging and food and your souvenirs. And then what we've been working on recently is the Petrified Forest National Park. And we've been completing activities to become a ranger. So they each have a booklet. Some of the skills are IDing national parks that are surrounding us and close to us, IDing wildlife, working on animal adaptations, differences between paleontology and archaeology, IDing fossils, and we've spent time learning about petrified wood, and we've shared some petrified wood with some of our students. And we've got some for some of you.
So, sorry, one thing. The books, just because we have to talk in the microphone, I'm not trying to like grab it for me. This is where they're going to become a junior ranger. So we're going to send these in. They have started working on them and they'll get a badge back. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they will have completion for all the skills that we've shared with them. We will send these in when we're completed and they will actually become a junior ranger. So we thank you for the opportunity to have this experience that we could share with our students. So very appreciative of the 10X grant.
Yes, very.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sounds like an exciting trip. So and bring it back to the students, which is what it's all about.
And they teach here at the high school. They were essential skills classroom assistants. So it was great to have them go on the trip.
Thank you.
And be a part of the journey. Well, thank you.
Wow, that's cool.
What is this? Petrified wood from the Arizona.
Oh, neat. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Off to the next agenda item, Education Fund referendum presentation. Dr. Colleen Denning.
Thank you very much. Who has, Doug, do you have the projector remote control? You have the remote control? Thank you, Mr. Wertz. Tonight, I would like to walk us through a presentation regarding the education referendum and lead us into a recommendation for the board that we would embark on a journey to partner with the community to help raise teacher salaries, support staff salaries, and impact mental health through relationships and some other endeavors. But before we get to that question, I do want to give an overview and a presentation of kind of the behind the scenes, what's going on. In our school district, we live by being student-centered and innovative and wanting to make sure that our kids have great people behind them, supporting them. And in order to do that, we need to have great teachers, need to have great support staff. And so over the last 10 years, as you all know, we've traveled through, we've been able to do that. In recent times, some educational and economic things have started to separate themselves. And we're going to talk about that right now to share why we believe we need to move forward in this endeavor. Partnerships mean a lot to our kids and to our community. This is one that just happened recently with the Inclusion Park at Blue Heron, where our Mayor's Youth Council came together, collected ideas to have an impact on our community. And through their innovation and through their opportunities and through some people behind them, They came up with this design, also raised money to make this happen. It's a great partnership. Some other partnerships that we've had in our district that have made a difference is us giving back to the art craft. Several years ago, they were at RDC meeting and they needed to get a new HVAC system. So with a partnership with Mr. Mercer and Mr. Doty, we came together to collect data, look at energy and efficiencies, and in turn, they received over $300,000 gift to help with the HVAC system through the endeavors of our Six Sigma. So those are some partnerships. Today, you got to hear another one, and that's the 10X grant and 10X opportunities. This is a partnership with Johnson Memorial Health. Recently, as of 2015, they purchased our nursing services. That was a great win for our nurses. They actually took an increase in pay for $300,000. In that $300,000 line for theirs is $3 an hour. But with that also came some opportunities for us, and we provided 10X grants to our teachers. And we're up to 103 participants, and it was a recruit and retain resource because we knew that we couldn't keep up with salaries. That was evident in early on in 2009-10 as Jeff and I started our journey together as a leadership team. But this was something that was unique, and we're the only ones doing it. And then the next year we brought in support staff. We were able to hear both examples. And then we this year start with kids, but that's with the partnership with the Education Foundation. If the kids are giving back to the community and they won't be traveling to Route 66 or any place like that, that they will be giving back to the community. And one example would be a student that you heard last time where she presented on doing the research about the house that Charles Hespin's class is going to rehab, and she's doing the architectural design structures with her partner, Ronnie Oliver, at the city, making a difference. So people would ask us, well, why didn't you take that money, that $300,000, and just put it back into salaries, Mr. Mercer?
Well, there's really two reasons why you wouldn't do that. Number one, if the agreement ever goes away, we have to take that $300,000 and place it back into nurses' salaries. But secondarily, we had the expectation that there would be some fairly rough waters ahead, and that we needed to begin doing things that we could do relative to culture. We recognized we wouldn't pay the highest salary in any domain, but if we created cultural opportunities like the 10X, that it would assist us in being able to attract and retain. The $300,000, had we embedded that into salaries, as an example, last year's teacher salary pool was $434,000, so we wouldn't even have gotten 3/4 of the way to 1 year's raise, and then it's gone forever and never to be seen again, and create an additional problem on the back end if the agreement ever went away.
We know that parents choose school districts for 3 reasons: academic and performing arts opportunities, as well as athletics. If you look at our school district, we've been able to do quite well. We provide outstanding academic walk through our AP and dual credit opportunities. But you know what? We need teachers behind the scenes. And one thing I've talked about, I've had the opportunity to hear from my 4 boys about their teachers in the classroom. I'll give one just anecdote. My son, as you all know, the board knows, he attends the Air Force Academy. And as he traveled to that class his freshman year, it's a very difficult road that they get to be on for a lot of different reasons. But inside the academic walls of physics and calculus, Ryan felt like he was toe-to-toe with all kids that travel there from the 50 states. And actually, when he came back at Thanksgiving, he said that Mrs. Foraker and Mr. Luce prepared him to do really well at the academy. And he has done well at the academy. There are other stories like that, but I will tell you that the story really is behind with the teachers and what they create in the classroom. And we want to make sure that we don't lose teachers because of the salary divide that's starting to happen. Mr. Mercer had an opportunity to talk to one of our young AP teachers about salaries.
After our presentation to the faculty and staff in October and November, and he took a look at all the numbers, he actually came in and said, "Do I just need to leave now?" And that's not what we want or need. We may not be at the top, but we need to be competitive. And I told him, hang in there for a bit between our cultural opportunities and what we were about to do here this spring. Hopefully we'd be able to get competitive.
Performing arts, we are a 3-time state champion choir. We just earlier today heard about Show Fest, where we had a gazillion people here, I think, on a Friday and Saturday, but highlighting for our kids. Mr. Hummel does a phenomenal job. In 2010, if you've been to my office, we think choir probably could have fit in my office at that point in time. There was not that many kids participating. But today we have over 250 kids that Mr. Ahouse and his team have to figure out how to do a master schedule that matches that for them. That's a significant part. We want to make sure that the Mike Hummels of the world and the performing arts teachers, the Kelly Parks of the world, stay with us and grow their career and not have to feel like they have to leave to move on. The other side, I just want to highlight quickly, is obviously the athletic side. Athletics, you grow so many things. You know, this example right here is a picture of our swim team, but we could put our soccer team up there, our cross-country team, all the sports endeavors that we have. We need great coaches to help grow our kids. We're number 2, as you heard today, and girls, we're probably going to get second or third, but the boys, Zach gets knocked on the door a lot by people saying, hey, why don't you come do the same thing with us? And I want to just be able to tell him, you can stay here for a lifetime because our kids need you. And we're just asking the community then to partner with us along the way. But you can insert all the coaches into that story about what we're talking about. So the next part of the presentation, I'm just going to talk just briefly about how does Mr. Mercer set up the budgets for us. In the old world, there were 5 funds, and the board, you're all very familiar with the 5 funds that we traveled through with debt service, bus replacement, transportation, capital projects, and general fund. In the new world, this is the world that Mr. Mercer is going to live in. 2 big barrels, but he's only going to live here for 6 months. And then we're going to pass the torch to our new CFO, Ms. Gross. But in this world of education fund and operations fund, the things to note, this is all about kids. Education fund is all about kids. The money that comes in this barrel is about kids. Over here, it's about things that support kids. So you're going to see a mixing and mingling of all the funds as we travel through in the new world. And you're going to see that for the first time, the barrels get to be a rainbow effect of color code of what can happen. As you know, when Mr. Mercer was building budgets, he wasn't able to really do that in the old world. The buckets couldn't flow together. Debt service had to be paid all the time. And he had to make sure that if anything did transfer, it was general fund dollars that would go through there. Well, now we're going to see that mix and mingle. However, we're still going to make sure that we have our debt service payment paid through the work of Mr. Mercer. I would say that inside of this one, what are some things that will be property tax driven with regard to students? Computers are a really good example of what we're talking about. It's going to now turn into an education fund item, and it was property tax driven. You want to say anything about the debt service with regard to some things that have happened in the state to shift us to get here? Indiana schools general funds for many years from up to 2008 were property tax driven. 2008, there was a shift made to make them part of the general fund. And in regard to that, that shift became requirement that every 2 years they'd have a discussion about the budget, and the property taxes would get relieved through the 1, 2, 3 property tax caps. And that, in our journey, we can also tell the story about Mr. Mercer and I coming on board, recession hit, flood hit, and we also had the property tax come into play with regard to the circuit breaker.
A variety of things happened in the 2015-2016 timeframe that impacted Franklin schools and other schools as well, for that matter. One was they changed the way they fund schools, and they moved away from a system that was really more complexity-based, free and reduced population ethnicity, to one that is driven on enrollment. And what a lot of people in Franklin don't realize, but you're about to if you don't know, is in the 11 years leading up to last year, we only grew 77 kids. And when your funding is based on enrollment and you only grow 77, that's a formula for a problem. Clark Pleasant would grow 125 to 150 a year, Center Grove 100 a year, Greenwood's growing 75 to 100 a year. And so as we began to look ahead and see what we had in front of us, one of the other things that took place was I put together a series of performers in all of our funds. And those performers were designed to really take a look out into the future. And frankly, I didn't like what I saw much. And when you're one person doing that, it's always helpful to get people that maybe even are smarter than you. One of those people is actually here tonight, Angela Coy. Thank you for being here, Angela. I went and got 3 really good people from our community. Angela's a CPA, Jay Goad, CPA, Rob Henderson, who's both with Mutual Savings as well as his experience in government. And for 4 months, they walked right alongside me, took a look at all the performers and assessed whether my assumptions were close to accurate. And Jay did find one mistake that I'd made, and we corrected that. And I think, and I don't want to put words in Angela's mouth, but I think what they saw was the exact same thing that we were seeing. As a matter of fact, they said in 2016, I think it's probably time for you to consider a referendum. We didn't do it at that time in large part because we went up 26 kids last year. We did all the things that schools would typically do. We hired a demographer. She'd worked for Center Grove and Clark Pleasant. They were very happy with her. And she took a look and said, I think you're flatlined for 10 years. And I wanted very much to say to her, I think you're wrong. We just went up 26 kids. Look at the city of Franklin and the energy and the enthusiasm that goes on every day in our community. Unfortunately, I was wrong. She was right. We went down 51 kids this year. And when your enrollment's based on children, that becomes an issue. So over the last 13 years, Franklin Community Schools has grown an average of about 3 kids a year. That's not enough to sustain what you need to sustain. What you're looking at on the screen is the general fund pro forma that was initially placed together in 2015 and has been updated since that time. The picture doesn't look very good. Actually, we had a board goal that was set at 9% to be done and in place fully by 2020. We got a 0.25% a year ramp in. This year we did hit our target. We were supposed to hit 8.5 and we were at 8.58. My counsel to the board and superintendent is I don't think we can hit that again at this point at that rate. When you begin to look at a picture that creates an issue like the one you're witnessing there, you can forget about salary increases. You're in survival mode. And that's actually kind of where we've been for the last couple of years working on getting this problem solved.
I want to go back in time again to 2008 when Governor Daniels took over and said we're going to institute property tax caps. Remember, property tax caps impact all entities that are driven by local property taxes. That'd be cities, towns, libraries, fire department. So all of us play together to make a difference in that. And for Franklin schools, over this time period of 2010 to 2018, these are real dollars lost, $24 million. So when we started thinking about that impact, and we thought about it early on, we had to make it a significant change. And that change came through the lens of Six Sigma and came through the lens of us making the very best decision for our school district that will grow our students, help our teachers, and move forward and be quite successful. But you can see over this $24 million loss, it has had a significant impact. I will tell you that if you've looked at some other data points for other entities and other schools, they might have done the referendum back here. We didn't want to do a referendum back here. And I will tell you, as superintendent and as my CFO gets ready to exit, I would not wish anybody to have the last 6 months, let's go do this if we didn't have to. We have to do this in order to support our teachers, our support staff, and to have an impact on mental health. That's why we need to make sure that we're moving forward with tonight's recommendation as we travel forward. Teacher salaries, another thing I want to talk about property tax caps and TIF districts. TIF districts impact another school. That's another conversation point for all of us. We make up about a little over 52% of the TIF districts in our area. So you're thinking, well, if you had that property tax money, you'd have it back. You're right. It would be a great thing. But however, we get some things out of our RDC that we want to say thank you. Safety and security became at the forefront of their conversation when Sandy Hook took place. And with that conversation, they said, we will buy the vestibules for you and the entry systems in. Phenomenal. When we needed technology because of the circuit breaker loss, they knew we couldn't go one-to-one, but in order to grow economy, in order to help our businesses, entities, and have our kids ready for that workforce, they said, let us help you. So they brought to us the idea of one-to-one, and they purchased the Chromebooks for us. In addition, safety and security continue to reign supreme with regard to our school resource officers that come along. So we partner well together with both the city and RDC to make a difference. We're in the top 12% of the state of Indiana that loses dollars. But you know what? with that loss actually comes a benefit to us that we would say thank you to them. And that's what we want to make sure. When the referendum is successful on May the 7th, need to note, though, that members of the TIF area, their businesses will pay and support our endeavor. So when we talk about how much we're asking per $100 of assessed valuation, if you are inside that TIF district, your business will also participate. And that's a significant thing to know, that it will have an impact for all of us and to help grow our teachers, support staff, and mental health. So you guys all know Mr. Mercer is phenomenal in so many ways. When this endeavor was starting, that we were starting to have very rocky ground. You know, my first year in about 2010, about this month, I informed the board that we needed to reduce teachers. And Jeff and I looked at the budget, and we had to actually reduce $900,000. So my first few months on the board, with the board, I had to go tell teachers we were going to reduce 20 spots. That was beginning teachers we were losing. And those 20 spots weren't going to come back either. They weren't coming back the next year. We had to also do away with a lot of other entities over that course of the next few years, about $4 million worth of journey. And it was through the partnership of Cummins and Six Sigma that helped us answer that question, what's the best answer for us? Mr. Lamb at the time was not on the board. Mr. Lamb and I had a conversation as our kids were doing an activity, and I asked him about, how do you guys do it at your work? Because we knew they were world renowned for their systems thinking, and he told us. He then brought the idea that we would train people from our school district into the system of belts. Mr. Mercer and Mr. Sprout were the first two faculty members, staff members to go through that journey of Six Sigma. We also then had 7 other people to travel through that. I was one of them. Mr. Ahouse is in attendance tonight. Mr. Doty, being a few that have gone through that road. And it really did help us make sure that we were making the very best decision possible. So we want to thank Cummins for that partnership. And that's part of our story along the way here. The partnerships matter. Our school system is awesome. I love it. There's not a better school system. And it's because of the partnerships that make us grow. And we're asking, like the paper said earlier, we don't have a choice. There is no choice for us. We've done everything possible to flip at every stone, looking under every piece of item, paper, et cetera, to make a difference. And we've done that. But at this point in time, if we're going to stay competitive with salaries, we need to do something. So then you say, okay, what's competitive? Mr. Mercer and his phenomenal work came up with the answer for us.
I used to get asked, I've told this many times, I used to get asked by the athletic director, or told by the athletic directors, you're not paying the coaches enough. And my standard question to them would always be, compared to who? And then they bring out the list, and it'd have Wayne Township, Warren Township, Brownsburg, Hamilton, Southeastern, Zionsville. And I continue to say, we don't look like them. How about we figure out who we do look like? That'd be a good place to start. So nobody in the state of Indiana has done this, probably because nobody would want to do this. I presented 3 times at the state level, actually helped the city of Franklin do the same thing. I needed to know who we look like. So here's what I did. I created 12 key variables that all schools are funded through. And I prioritized those through a process called an analytical hierarchy, where you take subjective items and you plug them in numerically, and you come out with a representation as to what's most important to you. I then went out and collected data on 288 schools across 12 different variables and found out who the 10 schools were in the state of Indiana that looked just like us relative to how they were resourced. And in 2015, that group was slightly different than when I updated it over Christmas in 2018. I didn't want Mrs. Gross to get to walk right into that and have to do it on her own. So this will get her through a couple of years. But at Christmas time, I found out who the 10 schools were in the state of Indiana that looked just like us. Now, if any of you are up there looking and you say, he's not real smart because he's got 14 on the list, not 10, you might be right. However, 3 of them are always going to appear on that list because we invariably get compared to them: Clark Pleasant, Center Grove, Greenwood. And so in addition to Franklin, the other 10 on that list do look like us. The city in the state of Indiana right now that is funded, and the school corporation that looks just like we look, is Greenfield Central, which actually, if you've been to Greenfield, I lived there for a few years, kind of looks like us a little bit. Bedford's on there, Seymour's on there, school corporations all the way down to West Clark and up to Concord. They had enough of those variables
that look like us, that's our 10. Starting teacher wage right now in that group of 14, we rank 10th out of 14. So you might ask, where should we rank? In 2015, we determined that we didn't believe we could afford to be in the top 4, although we would love to aspire to be in the top 4, probably isn't going to happen, at least not at the moment. We don't want to be at the bottom, however, so David and I decided we really thought we should be 5th to 8th. And we were 5th to 8th for several of those years. And then as enrollment has taken over as the basis of school funding, and referendum has come into play for many other school districts, not for Franklin, but for others, then we began to drop behind. I realized, however, pretty quickly that there aren't very many people going to leave Franklin and go to West Clark or Concord. But they might go to places near us, Plainfield, Speedway, Franklin Township, Perry Township. And so we expanded the group to what I call a location peer group. There are now 36 schools in that group, and of the 36, we're 30th. The school corporations in orange are the groups that are our referendum peers. And you might note that they're virtually all in the bottom half of the rankings because they suffer the exact same issues that we suffer. 30th out of 36 in our world is not competitive, we don't believe. If we were to be competitive and in the midsection, we would be somewhere between 12 and 24. Our goal is to get into the midsection. If we moved teacher salaries, as was shared in the Daily Journal, $2,500 for our existing teachers, that would place us where that green line is that says Beech Grove right now. We recognize also that they're not going to stay stagnant. They're all going to move too. But we believe once they do move that we'll be somewhere in the 18th to 19th slot and we can get our teachers into a competitive world. Couple that with some of the cultural things we're doing with employer of choice, and we'll be back in front of you in May with some really interesting things, 10X and salaries that are competitive. We believe that we can retain hopefully most, if not all, the teachers that we currently have.
So you can see that through the outstanding research and analytical perspectives on what we should be doing, this is what we drive at. I would also want to just compliment the Teachers Association. In this journey, they've walked side by side with us in moving us to where we are. It's been with great effort, collegial approach. I would just note that we talked to Senator Walker here recently, and Senator Walker said to me, you know, you're the only superintendent that I know of in the state of Indiana that brings the president of the FCTA up to the State House to meet with me. Nobody else does that. So I just want to just make sure everybody knows publicly how our teachers have suffered over the last 10 years. They get it. But they're also asking for us to do everything possible. And we did through Six Sigma. They were on the journey with that, on the projects that we did. And they're walking beside us as we present and ask the community to come along and help with salaries, support staff salaries, and mental health. I just want to highlight Plainfield for just a second. Plainfield's at 43.5. They're in that peer group. They look like us. Their high school was built the exact same time. It actually has almost the identical square footage as Franklin Community Schools. Are like, okay, how in the world do you get $6,000 separation? Well, a lot of it has to do with their community and their assessed value and some of those other things, and also some decisions they've made along the way. But you can imagine if you're a first-year teacher and we offer you a job and they offer you a job, and say, let's see, I've got $30,000 of debt with college loan, and in 5 years, if I go here, I can pay that off. If I come with you, I can't. We're just asking to get us to 40,000 because I think the other things will allow us to move forward and be productive. Greenwood, when Jeff and I started together, another mid-state conference school, they were actually behind us about the same amount. They were about down to 32.5. They've passed us with some growth from other school districts and some of those things. We've been fortunate to grow, but not to that rate. So you see, if you're a young student or a young teacher being interviewed throughout, where you could go. We had a teacher leave us to go to Speedway, and Speedway is the top salaried corporation right now in the state of Indiana for first-year teachers. Teacher took a $21,000 pay raise. Well, we hate to see people leave us, but we all understood why you have to go for 21,000. All we're asking is to move everybody up $2,500 and move forward. We mentioned, or I have talked about support staff. We don't have the graphics on support staff. It's a little bit harder to grab those. These are easy because everybody's master contract has to be put out. Through employer of choice, though, we do know that we follow the same categorical structure. We're in the bottom. One example would be maintenance and grounds.
Maintenance and grounds is 11th out of 13 in their starting wage. So what we're seeing across the board is really almost the exact parallel to what we see with teachers.
So I just want to highlight mental health, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Gross if she'll come up and help us with this.
In addition to the support staff and teacher wages, we also identified a big gap in both safety and mental health issues. You heard from Deb and Jeff Sewell at the last meeting about a survey that was done with several hundred students, teachers, and counselors. And there's a lot of anxiety amongst our students. Stress, anxiety, issues at home, and all of those things translate into the classroom and often result in behavioral issues and disruption in the classroom. So statistics show that 1 out of 10 students will have a mental health issue that will affect their educational experience. So we would like to add mental health professionals to help us with that. If you use those statistics, that would mean we would have about 500 students that would need this type of service. And we cover about 200 with our partnership with Adult and Child. But Adult and Child only serves students that are poverty level and below. So that leaves a gap of about 300 students that we would like to see some full-time mental health professionals be able to work with one-on-one, building those relationships with both the students and the parents. We would also like to be able to add another school resource officer. We added one this year for the high school, Doug Cox. He's a retired deputy sheriff. And if we added one more on the school side, that would give us one for each of the high school, middle school, and intermediate schools. So I think that covers the safety side.
So in that safety, it really is about learning environment for our students. The kids today, they live in a very anxious time. You know, Deb's survey out of 900 kids, 83, 84% of them said, man, I'm stressed at school. We need to make sure that we're providing opportunities for them to connect with the people. It's not about best door locks, best windows, best things that we can get. It's about relationships making a difference for kids. And so we want to make sure we're doing that. So as we travel through the partnership opportunities, what does it mean for our community? And here's what it means. I'm going to paraphrase it, and then as we move forward with the agenda, the recommendation, Mr. Mercer's actually going to read this out loud into the minutes. But for a period of 8 years, we're asking that in 2020 to 2028 that we would impose a property tax rate not to exceed 23 cents per $100 of assessed AV. So people are saying, what does that really mean? Well, that means we need $3.5 million in order to partner and grow teacher salaries, support staff salaries, and mental health. So Mr. Mercer has created a modeling structure that would allow us to do that. We've worked in partnership with Mr. Lamb on the board and engaging in conversation to say, okay, does this make sense? And what are we going to be doing other than we're going to do it to fund educational and academic programs? We want people to be here and stay with us. We want to manage our class size. When Jeff and I started as a leadership group, our class size average was 19. Our teachers would love to go back to 19. But just as we know that we can't be at the very top of the teacher salary, we can't be at 19 in our class size. But what we do want is to manage our class size at 25. We've been able to do that over the past up until this year. We need this partnership in order to keep that moving forward. So managing class size is a very big part of this. School safety initiatives and mental health endeavors. We hit a highlight, but there'll be other things that come in there. We'll have dollars and resources to do that, and retain teachers. We don't want teachers to leave to go to Speedway or any of the other metro schools, and especially not Plainfield. We want people to stay and be a part of our journey. It's a great journey, and our kids deserve great teachers. So this is what $3.5 million would get us by 23 cents. We can't accept this. Every year, Mrs. Gross will then present a budget on the referendum. We'll talk about what that looks like for our school district as we move forward. The board will have an opportunity to decide if it stays at 23 cents. The reason it's red does not exceed 23 cents is because you will have the ability to lower it, but you can't exceed that as we travel forward. Remember, it's $3.5 million that we need to walk alongside, keep teachers, keep support staff, and have a learning environment that can be reduced as much as possible to help students. So everybody's saying, okay, let's do a little math. If I have a $100,000 home, you're going to cost $230 increase in my out of pocket. And the answer is no, that's not what takes place. Because if we have homes and property owners, we get to deduct our homestead deduction for $45,000. So this is just a model. So I realize that not everybody lives in a $100,000 home and us, but we're going to walk through this. So we're going to deduct our homestead deduction of $45,000. We're also going to subtract the supplemental deduction of 35%. We're also going to subtract the mortgage deduction of $3,000 because most of us are still paying monthly on our homes. So our net AV that we're going to look to, that 23 cents per 100, is $32,750. So, okay, what is that a month? Well, you divide that by 100, multiply by our 23 cents that we've talked about, and the yearly impact is $75.33. And just we talked about, since most of us do pay by the month, it's $6.28 a month for a $100,000 home to say yes for teacher salaries, support staff salaries, and mental health. So then we brought in some experts. As Jeff said, it's great to have a team moving forward. So we brought in two other entities to help us understand the future.
One of the partners we brought in well over a year ago was a group called Policy Analytics, and they actually took a look at every taxing entity within our taxing jurisdiction to arrive at these numbers. And so this is a snapshot of what the impact would be. Actually, the $100,000 home is the 25th percentile in Franklin. Median home in Franklin is $128,500. The monthly cost on that home would be $9.83 a month. The 75th percentile home in Franklin is $170,000, and the monthly cost on that would be $15. We recognize in our community we have businesses, we have commercial properties, we have farmland. Those are calculated at a different rate. However, the bulk of Franklin is going to be impacted here. We will have coming up a tax calculator that Policy Analytics has helped us create that will be placed out on a website so folks can actually go and determine their own individual impact.
So Mr. Wirtz and other board members, I give you the reasons why we need to do this. At this time, as we move into the action items, I'm going to have Mr. Mercer reiterate a couple of the high points and read the actual question that would be placed on the May ballot, and then I'll come back with a recommendation.
I think it's important to note every single person up here as children that went through this school district. I had 4. I don't arrive, or anybody arrives at these decisions lightly. I can promise you, from where I sat for the last 11 years, every rock has been flipped because I personally did it. And so what we're asking tonight, in order to be able to do those things Dr. Clendenning outlined, continue to maintain the programs that we have in place with quality teachers, coaches, support staff, as well as adding mental health professionals in order to manage class size so they don't go any further.
than where they're at in order to be able to attract and retain teachers. We're asking you to consider tonight an action item that would allow us to approve this question so that we can advance it on to the Department of Local Government Finance for their approval and then back to us. So this is the question that would appear on the May 2019 general fund ballot. By the way, I do want to mention this too. Why May? Why not some other time? You might say, well, May's awfully quick. Well, let me explain what state statute says. Statute says that if you lose, you have to wait 700 days before you try again. If we win in May, we don't receive the first dollar until June of 2020. It takes about a year to build it into the budget that Tina will have to do. So if you have to wait 700 days and then add another year onto that, that pro forma you saw a few minutes ago is 3.5 to 4 years out. That's why May. So here's the question. For the 8 calendar years immediately following the holding of the referendum, shall the Franklin Community Schools impose a property tax rate that does not exceed 23 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation, and that in addition to all other taxes imposed by the school corporation for the purpose of funding academic and educationally related programs, managing class sizes, school safety initiatives, student mental health support, and attracting and retaining teachers. We ask for your consideration to take action on that question so that we can advance it tomorrow morning.
Mr. Wertz, at this time, I would be open to any questions, but I do ask that the board approve this recommendation.
All right, thank you. Any comments?
Just a comment on the data. So Mr. Ahaus shared this afternoon, when you think about that girls swim team that was there, if you take a look at that picture of the girls that were part of that, over half of those girls were not here in the 8th grade. So they didn't grow up in the Franklin community. They came here for a reason, right? Personally, as Mr. Mercer said, we've all had kids that have gone through the school. My 2 sons graduated from Franklin. The low class size that I think is really important, it's been an item on our board agenda since I started on the board. That low class size allowed both of my boys to have the attention, the help in the innovations course, in the various classes that they've had to allow them to prepare for college to get where they're at today. And I think if we increase those class sizes, yes, our teachers can do it. We've got great teachers, but it puts an extra burden on them that I don't think we should do. So I ask that we keep that in mind as we look at that statement.
Thank you.
I also believe that we need to do this so we can offer our teachers competitive wages. We don't want to fall any further behind than we are. Franklin is a great school district. My kids, I've had 3 that have gone through this, 2 that are still here, and they've had phenomenal teachers. And I feel like we should be able to compensate them fairly, and they are not being compensated right now. We're just falling further behind. So I really think we should take that into consideration as well.
Very well, thank you.
I appreciated Dr. Clendenning's comments about the extracurriculars and our sports. I mean, our choir and our band and our swim team and the list goes on. All that is booming right now. And if we're going to keep that momentum up, we have to invest in the people to make that happen. And this is how we do that. So I'm certainly in favor.
And I would say I'm kind of in a unique situation here with being a school nurse. Every day I see our administration, our teachers, our staff struggling to figure out what to do with those kids who are having behavior problems or stressed or have trauma in their life. And some students don't qualify for the programs we have right now. So we need to be able to not let those kids fall through the cracks and provide services for them so that, that mental health support is there.
One comment I have is there's some, I don't think we can really call into question that there's a correlation to teachers turnover to graduation rate, and graduation rate certainly is an important part of why we're all here. And so with the education rate going higher, we're going to see more kids go to college. We're going to see higher our community bringing in higher income, and it'll be really good for our entire community. The other thing I want to say is thanks to the teachers. I mean, when I started on the board 6 years ago, we really weren't in a place to do a referendum, and they really waited and were in partners with us. And this is certainly the reason why we're doing this is for you guys and for the students ultimately. So, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
With that, Mr. Wertz, I move that we approve the ballot question.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. Thank you.
I'd just like to add a couple logistics things in from this vote forward. We will send the ballot question to DLGF tomorrow. They will certify it. They will send it back to us. At that point in time, we'll get it to Johnson County Clerk, who will then make sure that it gets placed on the May 7th ballot. Also, just a reminder, by law, now that the board has unanimously approved this question, the teachers will not be allowed to have conversation about this opportunity while they teach in their classrooms or in the hallways or anything like that. After hours, they become citizens of Franklin. They can share and participate, and that would be awesome. There are people in our district that get the opportunity to talk about this 24/7. Mr. Mercer, Mrs. Gross, Mrs. Warland, myself, because statute says CFO, assistant superintendent, and superintendent can talk about this at any time. So we'll continue to have conversations about this. It is the right thing to do. The steering committee will then take over the responsibility as we travel forward. So if people in the community would like to participate on the steering committee, reach out to myself and I'll make sure your name gets passed along.
Thank you. All right. We will move on to board and administrative comments. Dr. Clendening, you're back up for e-learning day.
Thank you. Just wanted to highlight that we had our first ever e-learning day. And man, was it cold that day. It was a very good endeavor. We had pictures throughout the day of how it was going, but it was very successful. I would say that the elementary kids were excited about it. If you saw one of the pictures, we had Spider-Man come out of Union Elementary, was sitting in his whole spider gear and doing his homework. It was a great thing. We did learn a few things along the way, especially as far as making sure that we were connecting with the workload versus what the kids needed to do, also turning it in. We're going to continue to look at that. Also, as the kids got older, some of the expectations. I know we talked to Mr. Trehouse today, and he's going to debrief with his staff. But some of the things that even though they get 5 days to get their work done for attendance, in a normal life, it would still be due the next day no matter what. And so that was one things that we talked about and looking like that and making sure that the kids get those in. But overall, it was very successful. So I do thank you for giving us that opportunity. We will continue to monitor it. And just a reminder, if something were to happen, we would have a few other inclement days. We have 3 more for this year, and then we would have to add a day at the end of the year. And we definitely don't want to do that with graduation already being on that Saturday. We would like to try to do that. So hopefully inclement weather won't come, but if it does, we do have 3 more e-learning days.
All right, thank you. Calendar, Dr. Clendening.
Just a reminder, we are off school next week for President's Day. We are accepting Alumni Hall of Fame nominations through March the 8th. If you graduated from Franklin High School, Franklin Community High School, we would love for you to be considered for this opportunity. And then we will announce the class in April with the celebration in August. Kindergarten registration is coming on March 14th. All of the schools are ready for that. Mr. Purley is doing a great job of taking the lead and facilitating it for all of us. We will have yard signs to indicate that we're out and about ready for the March 14th event. And it should be a good day. So parents, please get ready for that. Bring your records and come to the school and sign up.
All right, thank you. Now we'll move to public comments. I'll open the floor to public comments. If there's any public comments, I ask you to come forward, state your name, give 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is Tony Harris. I'm the president of the Franklin Community Teachers Association. In attendance, Will Norton, our vice president's here, and our negotiations chair, Carly Hoagland. I would like to first thank the school board and administration team for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of FCTA and for supporting this referendum. The FCTA supports the following goals of this referendum: to gain and retain great teachers, increase funds for support staff, and increase the safety of our schools. Great teachers are the backbone of education and are necessary to help our students excel and have the best educational experience. Franklin Community School teachers are currently near the bottom of other local comparable school districts. We need to be able to bring FCS teacher salaries to a level that is competitive with peer schools and will make FCS an attractive place for new teachers and better support the great teachers we already have. Not only do we believe in better pay for our teachers, but for our school support staff members as well. This great group of individuals perform crucial roles in our schools' day-to-day functioning. Our support staff members work side by side our teachers and administration to make our schools positive places to learn and grow. The final goal of the referendum that FCTA finds crucial in supporting is increasing the safety of our schools for our students and teachers, providing additional funds to better staff our schools with personnel that will work to keep all of us in a safe environment to learn and teach. Nothing should be more important than ensuring each person's safety. Again, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak today on behalf of FCTA, and especially to those from the community that are here to learn more about this referendum. I hope the information you received tonight from myself and others will help you realize how important it is to our students and our teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other public comments? All right, seeing none, we'll adjourn. Thank you.